Dr. Mollie and her husband, Dale Schafer, who's an attorney, have been running a medical cannabis clinic out about 120 miles east of here in the Sierra foothills, which has been one of the major sources of approvals and recommendations for thousands, literally thousands of patients in the more remote areas of California. They were visited by the DEA about 2 weeks after the September 11th disaster, as I recall, who came in and basically did the normal search and raid of the house and took all of their medical records. Sent them off to the hands of federal investigators, where they are now in legal limbo. Dale, you're going to come up and please, both of you, come together and tell us the story.
I too am very encouraged to see so many people in one room for what I consider an absolute necessity for us to get a good, logical approach to drugs. And whether it's marijuana or all the other drugs that we use in every day, we need to have a good, logical approach. Now, the legal part and the issues with the federal government are really irrelevant to me because I'm a doctor, and I am absolutely politically incorrect, but I am morally right.
Right on.
Now, from the point of view of a doctor, it's simple. I look at the risk of the drug, I look at the chance that it's going to kill you, and I say go for it if it's safe. And that's the problem with marijuana. The more truth, the more light, the more research, the more we're going to see that marijuana is the safest drug we have available. It's safer than most of the foods we commonly consume. And that's a quote from a DEA administrative judge who desperately wanted marijuana to be legalized over 12 years ago. Now, the reality is who is the medical marijuana user? And that is what we've all been discussing here. Well, I have cancer, and I am a medical marijuana user. And you know what? It's your brother and your uncle and your son and your daughter, and I've done the research to show who it is. And that's why I was rated. I can demonstrate that the average medical marijuana user has a higher than high school education, and 9% of them hold advanced degrees in my population. That's immense. I can demonstrate, I can demonstrate that these people, 65% of them vote, that it's more men than women, at least, that are coming to me. And the number one reason they're here is pain, okay? Chronic, ongoing, irretractable pain. And they don't want to take the narcotics. Now that brings me to the next reason why education is our number one way to fight this, is bar-pressing rats who have been taught to be addicted to opiates will press the bar less when given a marijuana analog. In other words, it's been demonstrated chemically in the brain of a rat that marijuana decreases the drive for opiates and therefore decreases addiction. They also train these same rats or others to drink alcohol, which is actually very hard to do. Rats normally rather die than drink. But anyway, they will stop pressing the bar for their alcohol when you give them a marijuana analog. What this means is billions of dollars lost to our government. Someone asked why. Well, the why is obvious to me. We've got at least $4 billion industries that stand to lose billions and billions of dollars because I have the evidence to prove that my patients, virtually 100% of them, get off the pills. The pharmaceutical industry does not want to hear this. The alcohol industry does not want to hear this either, because my patients also practice harm reduction and they get off the alcohol. Now, the third major reason that this is illegal is that the police benefit from alcohol. The side effects well known to doctors from alcohol use or abuse is belligerence, anger, hostility, and violence. These things generate jobs.
It's true.
That's a problem. Okay? Now, people who use marijuana basically are calm, gentle, quiet, stay home. I also have statistical evidence, and I can't go into all of this, but that it makes people more spiritual, more loving, appreciate their family better, etc., etc., etc. So I would just want to leave you before I let you hear from my husband that I'm waging my own little war in my own little office with every patient I see. And it's a three-pronged attack. The first prong is the media, and I need as much help as I can, but in my county I managed to get in the paper, and I managed to get it in writing, that anyone with a note gets to have 6 plants this year, starting today. Yeah!
All right.
The second attack is I've got every patient that comes to my office signing a letter demanding that Gray Davis back off. And I don't know if that does any good, but I've sent him hundreds of them. I additionally have them pick up the phone at my expense, which is not a big deal, but the point is that they're afraid. They're afraid of getting caught, and they're afraid of wiretaps and everything else. So I provide a phone for patients to be able to get on the phone and to tell their congressman, Feinstein, Boxer, everyone that they can get in contact with, and I provide the numbers. And I allow them to contact their representatives free of recrimination because of the phone call. And the third...
Those are already tapped.
Yeah, we know we're tapped. It's not a biggie. And the third and final way that I feel that we should all get on the bandwagon, this is my gigantic, enormous push, is I feel the only way to make an impression is economic. Billions of dollars are at stake and billions of dollars are against us. So what do we have to do? We have to declare days where we as American people decide not to spend our money. If we refuse to spend our money on 215 because we're voters and we deserve the respect that a voter deserves when you vote a law into existence, it should be respected, okay? That is what we need to do. On 215, don't buy shit. Not gas, not diapers, not milk. And what about 420? The call numbers of how we're going to arrest these violent, aggressive medical marijuana users or marijuana users in general. Okay? The bottom line is, I think 215 and 420, if we stop spending money on those days, we will make an impact. Might not be this year, might not be next year, but eventually everyone's going to go, wait a minute, I'm not buying shit today. So I'd like to hand it over to my husband. Right. Thank you so much.
Quiet, demure one. I have the audacity to run for a political office up in, what do we call this, El Corrupto County? Is that what you've heard about up in the mountains up there? I didn't win, of course, but I got more than a voting block, and now we have our sheriff and the district attorney and the guy running with him and the health officer, and they're actually sitting down at the table with us and even paying for lunch. 2 years ago, they wouldn't even pick up the phone. They called us a bunch of hotheads who weren't doctors. The process is moving everywhere, and everywhere we see that we take a step forward, the DEA is there to try and push the envelope back some. We have probably 6,000 to 7,000 clients that came to see a lawyer who in California, when you're given them advice by a California law, we thought we had a privilege. And then you went to see a doctor who we also in California, following California law, we thought we had the privilege there. And the federal government decided that since you can buy marijuana in San Francisco with one of her notes, or you can grow it and not get in trouble with one of her notes, that we were a bunch of criminals in violation of federal law. And you can't have a privilege when you're in communication with a criminal. Of course, no one's ever been charged with anything. This is sort of the game they play, as Jeff alluded to. They don't want to put us in front of the jury. And for the DE agents in the room, yes, indeed, I was growing marijuana for my wife on the hillside. And they stole it all. They told us to go to the black market. We don't care. We have pushed some envelopes up where we live, but we do not live in the same environment that you have in the city over here. So we face a different reality. We are in a production area where, you know, with some cow manure and water, you really can grow this in your backyard up there. Around here, you can't do it. Even if you know how to do it, it's basically an impossibility. This is a consumption area. If you look at this economically, And this law allows you to grow your own medicine with a doctor's approval. It talks about a caregiver, but when you bring that word up, when we're in the room with these guys, you can feel their sphincter get real tight. A caregiver. How about if they are exchanging bodily fluids? Can you be a caregiver? I think we'll allow that. So ergo, my wife, I got to grow pot for her until they ratted me off to the feds, and now some people have volunteered, and by God, I'm not doing it, but I got some friends that we're going to register and see if the DEA will come in and really do something to us this time. The DEA in our area over there is run by some people who I'm not sure all their neurons fire at the same rate that ours do. I do not understand. There are groups of people out there who really believe the dogma put out by our narcotics officers that this stuff is going to poison you. We have an opportunity to meet them again in 2 weeks. Now this is the big piggies in our county, the guys who really call the shots, and we have the door open. And because of the amount of people that voted for me in the county, they need my support to win. So we have a unique political position, and I think we need to continue to build on it every place we can. Every time you get the government to work with you, as they've done over in this area, you set up your tent and you continue to go forward. In our area, it took several years. Lots of people got arrested. Lots of bad things happened. They continue to happen. The doors have now been swung open a bit. They recognize that we're a force, and a lot of my supporters are, heaven forbid, right-wing Republicans. My God, can you imagine that they had something to say about the stopping federalism and getting states' rights brought up here? Our case is in front of the appellate court here in San Francisco right now over what I call the theft of my attorney-client files. Now, our contention is that under the 9th and 10th Amendment of our federal Constitution, the voters of California can enact health and safety laws, and that's exactly what we've done. That the federal government has power to act in this area, as they claim under the Commerce Clause, yeah, when pigs fly. This is part of the problem that we have here. Starting from the very day that they began to extend the Interstate Commerce Clause, and this is going way back to the end of the Great Depression, and parents coming back and seeing the 6-lane superhighways, and we got to build highways everywhere. Now the Commerce Clause stopped being, you know, giddy up, let's go across the state line. It began to move back to the entrance onto the highway and back further, and now we used to joke in law school that, God, they're going to tell you how to wipe your butt because the toilet paper came across the state line. Now, that is the battle we have. I know that Jeff's in that battle right now. We know that conservative justices in the court want to cut their toes off for being over the line of the Commerce Clause, and we want to get there. We have movement going in our county. My God, we never would have thought it, but we want to continue going forward. We need everybody's help now because they're going to take her federal DEA license away because, my God, someone who smokes pot as a cancer victim can't be trusted with one of those now, can they? And my son had a medical marijuana poster on his wall that taught how many people die from aspirin and alcohol and cigarettes and all that nonsense, and 0 from marijuana. And of course, if you allow your son to know that, you can't be trusted either. So we're anxious to fight this, but you know, we need everybody's support. They're after us big time. And anybody that you can help in this area, please do. We have people in the audience that will take your money. My goodness, if you're ready to give it to us, we love it. Your support any kind you have, we need it, because this issue cannot stop. The momentum is going. They are thinking everywhere of how to get up our rear end and win the mind war. And we have to win the mind war against them. The epiphany I recall in my right-wing Republican family was when they watched those little black kids being bit by dogs, and the fire hoses hitting them, okay, and Bull Connor saying, no niggers coming across my bridge, or whatever it was he said. We are those, as I say, the niggers of this new millennium. We need to stand up and say we have rights. We do not need to be treated this way. We demand to be stopped treated this way. It's a human rights violation. And most of our people are just sick taking morphine, and they're tired of it. They're tired of taking Vicodin. And that's who the American people need to see, that we see every day. Your mom, dad, brother, grandma, whoever. That's who we're dealing with. So please help any way you can. Follow us. We'll keep things out in the news for you as much as we can. Talk to your friends. Learn about cannabinoids. Move this thing forward. The full court press, please. Thank you.